When this poor kid started tinkering with engines, no one could have imagined that he would one day create some of the world's most expensive cars. This is the story of Frederick Henry Royce, born in 1863 in Alwalton, England. Henry was the youngest of 5 children, born to James and Mary Royce, who ran a struggling flour mill. Unlike his father, James lacked business acumen, leading to meager profits and years of poverty for the Royce family. Things worsened, and in 1867, they had to file for bankruptcy. Seeking a better life, the family moved to London. By this time, 4-year-old Henry already had his first job scaring birds on a local farm for 6 pence a week. Then, in 1872, disaster struck again. Henry's father passed away. With his father gone, 9-year-old Henry and his siblings had to contribute to the family income. Henry began selling newspapers and delivering telegrams, doing whatever he could to help make ends meet. Henry's early years of poverty left a lasting impact on him. By the age of 15, he had completed only 1 year of formal schooling. As a young teenager, he began an apprenticeship with the Great Northern Railway Works, thanks to some financial support from his aunt. Despite his lack of formal education, Henry seized every opportunity to educate himself, studying algebra, French, and electrical engineering in his spare time. However, after 3 years, financial constraints forced him to quit his apprenticeship. After leaving the railway works, Henry briefly worked at a tool-making company in Leeds before joining the Electric Light and Power Company in London. In 1882, he moved to Liverpool to continue his work with the Electric Light and Power Company. His true passion, however, was to make engineering his full-time career. At 22, he partnered with his fellow engineer and friend, Ernest Claremont, to start a business. They named it F.H. Royce & Company, and for the next few years, they worked tirelessly to produce electrical components, such as doorbells and dynamos. The company grew steadily, and by 1894, they were manufacturing electric cranes. Yet Henry's interests were beginning to shift toward a new frontier motor cars. While Henry Royce is a key figure in the Rolls-Royce story, the brand's name hints at another important individual, Charles Stuart Rolls. Born in 1877 in London's upscale Berkeley Square, Charles was the youngest child of Lord and Lady Langatock. From an early age, he had a passion for engineering, which led him to study mechanical engineering at Trinity College, Cambridge. Charles had a knack for standing out. He earned the nickname Dirty Rolls due to his constant tinkering with engines. During his studies, he made a splash by becoming the first undergraduate to own a motor car, a Peugeot Phaeton, which he bought in Paris at the age of 18, a remarkable feat at a time when most people hadn't even heard of cars. After graduating in 1898, Charles worked on a steam yacht and at the London and Northwestern Railway. However, his true interest lay in motoring, pioneering, and salesmanship. With financial backing from his father, he opened one of Britain's first car dealerships in 1903, naming it C.S. Rolls & Co. Over the next few years, he focused on importing and selling Peugeot and Minerva cars, and his business flourished. Charles used the profits to fund his passion for sporting activities. An avid motorist, pioneer, and racer, he also had a keen interest in aviation, both hobbies that were far from cheap. Unfortunately for Charles, his lifelong passion for these pursuits would eventually cost him more than just money. When running his company F.H. Royce & Company, Henry Royce's interest in motor cars grew steadily. In 1901, he bought a second-hand 2-cylinder Decauville car, only to find its construction riddled with faults. Driven by an instinctive desire for perfection, Henry set out to build a car of his own. By the end of 1903, he had designed and built his first petrol engine, and by the following year, he proudly drove his first Royce 10-horsepower motor car into town. 2 decades had passed since Henry had established his company, and his first car was a triumph. He quickly set about creating more. Of the 3 cars he built, one went to his business partner, Ernest Claremont, and another was sold to a shareholder, Henry Edmunds. It was Edmunds who would ultimately orchestrate the fateful meeting between Rolls and Royce. Henry Edmunds, a shareholder in Royce's company and a friend of Charles Rolls, was so impressed with Royce's car that he couldn't stop boasting about it to Rolls. At the time, Rolls was frustrated with selling only foreign imports at his dealership. Sensing an opportunity, Edmunds arranged a meeting between the 2 men. Little did he know, this meeting would change the future of motoring forever. Despite Rolls' preference for 3- and 4-cylinder cars, Royce's 2-cylinder vehicle made an immediate impression. Within minutes of seeing it, Rolls knew he had found exactly what he was looking for. He took the motor car for a test drive and, on the spot, agreed to sell as many cars as Royce could build. The duo seemed unlikely. Royce was 41 years old, while Rolls was just 26. Rolls had enjoyed a privileged education at Trinity College, while Royce was largely self-taught. Rolls had spent his young adult years racing fancy cars, whereas Royce had worked tirelessly to make ends meet. Could they really see eye to eye? Despite their differences, Henry Royce and Charles Rolls formed a remarkable partnership, leading to the creation of the Rolls-Royce Company in 1906. Their collaboration soon birthed the legendary six-cylinder Silver Ghost, which was hailed as the best car in the world within a year of its launch. This success wasn't just due to Royce and Rolls, it also owed much to Charles's partner, Claude Johnson. Creating a brand requires vision, and while Henry and Charles focused on building and selling cars, Claude Johnson took on the role of managing director. A publicity genius, Claude orchestrated a series of stunts to showcase the quietness and reliability of Rolls-Royce cars. One of his early advertisements for the 40 to 50 horsepower motor car proclaimed it to be not just one of the best, but the best car in the world. With this ad, Claude introduced a phrase that would forever be associated with Rolls-Royce. His strategies were incredibly effective, demonstrating the superior performance of Rolls-Royce and creating global demand for their world-class engineering. Claude's contributions were so vital that he became known as the hyphen in Rolls-Royce. Of course, marketing alone will get you only so far, and both Henry and Charles dedicated themselves to delivering the best quality possible. But it was especially Henry who had a knack for pushing himself to the limit when it came to work. Henry was renowned as a hard worker who never ate properly. Unfortunately, these habits severely affected his health. But surprisingly, he would end up outliving his business partner Charles by a couple of decades. Over the years, Daredevil Charles's interest in aviation kept growing. He even tried to persuade Henry to develop a design for an aero engine, but Henry refused. To continue living out his aviation dreams, Charles bought a Wright Flyer aircraft, with which he made over 200 flights. In 1910, he became the first person to make a non-stop double flight across the English Channel. But just 1 month later, more inspiring business videos.